She claimed him as her mate, desperate and broken. The prison ship drifted through space like a dying star cast into darkness. The human colony vessel had been captured 3 months ago and now served as a holding pen for the survivors' captain. Jake Morrison sat in the corner of his cell watching the other prisoners lose hope one by one. The Zephyrian Empire had crushed humanity's expansion into the outer rim with brutal efficiency. Their technology was superior, their numbers overwhelming, and their mercy non-existent. Jake had watched his crew die during the battle and now waited for his own execution. The cell door hissed open and she entered. Commander Lyra stood 7 feet tall with skin that shimmered like polished obsidian. Her forearms moved with deadly grace while her crimson eyes scanned the prisoners like a predator selecting prey. The other humans cowered. But Jake met her gaze. She had been visiting the prison cells for weeks, interrogating prisoners before they disappeared. Forever. Today, she stopped in front of Jake and tilted her head, studying him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. "You are different from the others," she said in perfect English, her voice carrying a strange musical quality. "Tell me your name." "Human. Captain Jake Morrison," he replied, refusing to show weakness. "And you can go to hell." Something flickered across her alien features, an emotion he could not identify. She circled him slowly, her boots clicking against the metal floor while her secondary arms gestured in patterns he did not understand. "You have fire in you even now, even broken," she murmured. "Your species fascinates me, Captain Morrison. How do you maintain such defiance when you know death awaits?" Jake laughed bitterly. "Because dying free is better than living as your slave." Lyra stopped moving. Her crimson eyes widened and she stepped closer until she loomed over him. The other prisoners pressed themselves against the walls, sensing something had changed in the air. "You would choose death over submission," she whispered. "Even if I offered you life. Especially then." She stared at him for a long moment, then did something that shocked everyone in the cell. She knelt down, bringing her face level with his. Her skin seemed to pulse with internal light, and when she spoke, her voice carried a tremor of something Jake had never expected to hear from a Zephyrian: vulnerability. "My people are dying. Captain Morrison," she said so quietly only he could hear. "A plague ravages our homeworld, killing our young before they can reproduce. Our scientists believe only genetic diversity can save us, and your species carries the key." Jake felt his world tilt. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that I need you." She continued, her 4 hands clasped together. "Not as a prisoner, not as a slave, but as something far more precious, a mate." The word hit him like a physical blow. He stared at her, trying to process what she had just revealed. Lyra, the feared Zephyrian commander who had personally overseen the destruction of human colonies, was asking him to be her mate. "You are insane," he breathed. "Perhaps," she agreed, "but I have studied your species for months. Captain, I have watched how humans love, how they sacrifice for each other, how they create bonds that transcend logic. Your emotional connections make you stronger, not weaker." She stood and began pacing again, her movements more agitated now. "My people mate for genetic compatibility, nothing more. We produce offspring and move on. But humans, they choose partners based on connection, on compatibility of spirit. This is what we lack. This is what we need." Jake processed her words, feeling a mixture of revulsion and fascination. "And you think I would agree to this after what your people did to mine?" "I know you will refuse," she said sadly. "But I had to try. You see, Captain, I have been watching you specifically for weeks. I have seen how you care for the other prisoners, how you share your meager rations, how you comfort those who weep in the night. You embody everything my people have forgotten." The cell fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Jake stared at this alien warrior who commanded fleets and destroyed worlds, yet seemed broken by her own admission of need. "What happens if I say no?" he asked. "You die tomorrow with the others," she replied matter-of-factly. "The execution orders are already signed, and if I say yes, you come with me to my homeworld. You help my scientists understand human bonding. You potentially save both our species from extinction." She paused. "And you live." Jake looked around the cell at his fellow humans. Their faces showed a mixture of hope and disgust. Some wanted him to agree, if only to survive. Others looked at him with hatred, for even considering cooperation with the enemy. "I need time to think," he said finally. Lyra nodded. "You have until dawn, Captain Morrison. Choose wisely." She turned to leave, then stopped at the doorway. "For what it is worth, I am sorry about your crew, about your colonies. My people are desperate, and desperate creatures do terrible things, but perhaps together we can find a different path forward." After she left, the cell erupted in whispers and arguments. Some prisoners begged Jake to accept, others called him a traitor for even listening. But Jake sat in his corner, staring at the stars through the small porthole and wondering if survival was worth the price. Hours passed and dawn approached. The cell door opened again and Lyra entered alone this time. Her crimson eyes found his immediately and she waited. Jake stood slowly, feeling the weight of every decision that had led him to this moment. He thought of his dead crew, of the colonies that had burned, of the future that humanity might not have. Then he looked at Lyra, really looked at her, and saw not a monster, but a being struggling with impossible choices, just as he was. "I have one condition," he said. "Name it." The other prisoners, "Go free." She hesitated. "I cannot promise they will survive the journey home." "Then take them somewhere safe. A neutral world where they can start over. This will require significant resources." "Captain, resources my people might not approve of spending. That is my price," Jake said firmly. "All of them, or I choose death." Lyra studied him for a long moment, then slowly nodded. "Very well, Captain Morrison. You have a deal." As she led him from the cell, Jake wondered if he was saving humanity or betraying it. But when he saw the hope in his fellow prisoners' eyes as they realized they would live, he knew he had made the only choice he could. Sometimes survival required sacrifice, and sometimes the enemy was not what you expected.